Hello everyone. In this video lecture, I will discuss about direct cache mapping technique. And the process of transfer the data from main memory to cache memory is called mapping. Before starting cache memory technique, little introduction of memory organization. And the cache is used between CPU and main memory to improve performance by reducing the data access time. Actually, cache is a smaller and faster memory which stores copies of the data from frequently used main memory locations, right? And a data between CPU and cache is transferred as data object, which we called as a SWORD, and between cache and memory as a block data transfer. And similarly, between main memory to between main memory and secondary memory in the pages, right? So according to cache memory design, the data is transferred from main memory to cache memory in the form of blocks. So the data transfer from main memory to cache memory in the form of blocks. So cache memory and main memory both are divided equal part of block size. So block transfer between cache memory and main memory. So divided that memory organization divided this cache memory into equal part of block size. Similarly, the main memory equal parts of block size. And the memory organization between cache memory and main memory is handled by hardware, and main memory and secondary memory organization is handled by software, right? So this part, the hardware part, comes into the computer organization and architecture, and the software comes into the software system, right? So we divided our memory, a cache memory and main memory, into equal parts of block size. So to calculate number of cache blocks, that will be a cache memory size divided by block size. From this, you can calculate number of cache blocks in cache memory. Similarly, to calculate of main memory blocks, that will be main memory size divided by block size. This way, the number of cache blocks in the cache memory, number of main memory blocks in the main memory, we can calculate, and each memory is divided into equal parts of the blocks, right? This is all about introduction. Let's take example. Let's take we have 8-byte cache memory and 2-byte block size. So this 8-byte cache memory, after the memory organization, we divided this 8-byte cache memory into 4 blocks, because one block size is a 2-byte, right? So that means 8 by 2 is equal to 4. So 4 blocks are there. And one more thing, that number of blocks is equal to number of lines. Is the same thing. We also called line. Per block means per line, right? That block also we called as a line, right? Now see, now 2-bit is required to enable the address of the block, right? Now 4 blocks are there. So how many bits are required? 2 bits are required to enable the block. But inside the block, 2 bytes are there. Inside the block, 2 bytes are there, right? To enable to access the single byte, you need 1 bit. You need 1 bit, right? To access. So that inside the block, number of bits inside the block, how many number of bits are required to access the byte, that is a word offset. So how many bits are required to access the block or line, that is a line offset, right? So your cache index is a line offset, word offset, like this, right? So after the cache organization, in the cache index, we have a line offset and a word offset, which is of 3 bits. So line offset means a line number in the cache, which line is enabled, right? It is the address of the line. This is the address of the line. Similarly, so for enabling the line in the cache memory, how many bits are required. Just you need to find out log and number of lines in the cache memory, and just take log by 2, the 2 bits is required, and you know 4 lines are there or 4 blocks are there in the cache memory. Similarly, in the word offset is the word address in the block, or you can say byte address in the block, because one word is a 1 byte address of the block in the block. So log to the block size. From this, how many bits are required to enable the byte or to access the byte, right? Now let us consider 16-byte main memory. Earlier we discussed about cache memory. Now I am discussing about main memory with 2-byte block size. So 16-byte main memory is there, right? And 2-byte block size. How many blocks will be there? 8 blocks, right? 8 blocks in the main memory. 8 blocks in the main memory, right? And in each block there is 2 bytes. In each block there is 2 bytes. So for accessing a single byte inside the block, how many bits are required? 1 byte. 1 bit are required, right? 1 bit is required to access the byte in the block. Now 8 blocks are there. How many bits are required to access the single block? 3 bit, right? To enable the address line, we need 3 bit, right? This is all about memory organization of main memory. So after the main memory, this become as a physical address. So word offset, you know, 1 bit is required for 16-byte memory on 16-byte main memory, right? So and the other part become as a tag. This tag represent as a memory block number, right? This tag represent as a memory block number. So log to number of blocks in the main memory. From this you can calculate number of bits which each required to access the block. Similarly, to access the single byte, you need 1 bit. This is all about introduction of memory organization. Now, cache mapping techniques. So mapping, what is a mapping? Mapping is a process to transfer the data from main memory to cache memory, which is called mapping, right? So there are 3 types of cache mapping technique. So direct cache mapping technique, associative cache mapping technique, and set associative cache mapping technique. So in this video lecture, I will discuss about direct cache mapping technique, right? So each cache contains 3 different values. See, this is, let's say, this is your cache memory. This cache memory contains 3 different values: your valid bit, your tag bits, and data bits. Data bits is your like block, right? Your block, and tag bits and valid bits. Valid bits, also, this valid bit is only a single bit actually, and it will tell the status of block. If that bit is 1, then we can say block is referred by CPU. If that bit is 0, then we can say block is not referred by CPU, right? And this whole tag bits means it depends upon which mapping we are using, and it will tell which block of the main memory actually exists in the cache memory. Which block of the main memory exists in the cache memory. So cache memory size. Your total cache memory size is this one actually. Your total cache memory size is this one. So your data size, your tag size, and valid bit size. So cache memory size is a tag memory size and data memory size. Okay, yeah, valid bit also there, but in the question, if they will ask you have to include valid bit also, then you need to add valid bit also here. Otherwise, tag memory size and data memory size. So this tag and the data bits are corresponding to each line, right? Because this is a block, this is a line, right? This is your block. So corresponding to their corresponding to block, tag is there, right? Similarly, so tag memory size means number of line in the cache plus number of line in the cache multiply number of tag bit in each line. From this you can find out tag memory size. Similarly, number of line multiplied by block size. So if you add these 2 terms, you can find out cache memory size. Yeah, if valid bit is there, then you need to add that one also, right? Direct mapping technique means one function we are using to map our block, main memory block, to cache block. So how you will transfer the main memory block to cache block? With the help of this function. So mod function we are using. So actually this is actually a function. So this k means a main memory block. So which block you want to map to cache memory? This the k, which block number, and where you are going to mapping on the cache memory. So how many number of lines or how many number of blocks in the cache, and when you apply this mod function on the main memory block number, the cache line number will come. On this cache line number, we map our block, main memory block, to cache. See, this is a 4 byte. This is 8 byte, sorry. And this is 16 byte, right? So we divided our 8 byte memory into 4 blocks, right? And we divided our 16 byte into 8 blocks. 8 blocks, right? Now, how all the block of the main memory mapping with the cache memory. See, block number 0 of main memory. Now, how many blocks are there or how many lines in the cache? 4 lines are there. So it will point to block 0. Similarly, one mod 4, it will point to block 1. Or you can say line 0, line 1. It's the same thing, line 0 or line 1. Similarly, 2, 3, b. See, now if you see, block 0 and block 4 point to line 0, same time. Similarly, block 1 and block 5 will point to line 1, right? Like this. So, but there is only a one block space. So at a time, only one block we can store, but maximum possibility 2 block we can store, right? Maximum 2 block we can store, but at a time only one block. So this function, from this function, we can say there is a relationship between memory block and cache memory block line, right? So that's why there is a use of cache memory address in the use, right? So let's see. Now, when CPU generate the memory request, then first that request come to the cache memory. So our direct cache controller interprets CPU request as this format. Means whatever the request came, so how you break down into, let's say 4-bit request came. This 4-bit request came. So this is our format to interpret the CPU request, right? So format is your word offset. This word offset will point to a byte in the block, and the line offset, it will enable the line in the cache memory, right? And this tag means a number of memory block are possible in each line, not at the same time. Maximum number of block, how many? Let's say this is 1 bit. Let's say 4 bits are there, so 1 bit we gave to the tag. So 2^1. So maximum 2 block we can map into the cache memory, but not at the same time. If 1 bit is there, it means only one block. Only one block we can store at a time. Of course, there is a 1 block space, but maximum 2 block we can save. Maximum 2 block, right? But not at a time. Similarly, and other thing of the tag memory is this will tell actually which block right now exists in the cache memory. Now in the last slide we see block 0 and block 4 point to only line 0, right? But which block is there? So if this is 1, then we can calculate, take this example, we can see this 4th block exists in the cache. With the help of this one, we can say 4th block of the main memory exists in the cache memory. If this is 0, let's say if this is 0, then block 0 exists in the main memory, right? Done. Now see, between CPU and cache memory, there is a word transfer. You know that part. And from between cache memory and main memory, there is always a block transfer. So how the direct cache mapping is going on? See, the block 0 of the main memory and block 4 of the main memory. This block has fixed location in cache memory, which is a line 0, right? But right now only block 0 is there. Only block 0 is there. Similarly, let's see, block
3 of the main memory and block 7 of the main memory has fixed location in cache memory, which is line 3, but right now block 7 is there, right? Let's say in any next instruction comes and CPU trying to execute the next instruction. When CPU generates the request and his CPU is asking for block 4, then we need to replace this B4 from block 4 like this, right? And what will be the physical address? What will be the physical address? Physical address will be your word offset, which will point to the byte inside the block, and the remaining will be a tag bit. This tag will enable the address line. This tag will enable the address line of the block in the main memory, right? In the main memory, similarly, right? And also when we are replacing, see, when we are replacing a block in the cache memory, we are also updating the tag. Tag is always the first, like if 4-bit memory CPU generated the request, the first bit is as a tag bit, right? It's fine because this in the cache memory, this 2-bit is used to enable the line in the cache memory. This the last bit is used for word offset. The remaining is as a tag bit, which we discussed earlier, right? So during replacement, we add into our cache memory, and this tag bit is a part of the cache memory. Is a we already see valid bit, a tag bits, and data. So this one is a cache memory, and that is a cache index. Actually, this is a cache index. So from the cache index, we actually enable the data line. From the cache index, we actually enable the data line. Now see, so let's say three memory block we do of memory block. So block 0 is there. So we apply this function k mod n. K is your memory block number, and n is the number of lines in the cache. Then cache line number generated. So block 0 mod 4 line 0.2. Similarly, 7 mod 4 line 3. 4 mod 4 line 4 will be there. So for block 0 and block 4, line 0 is a fixed location in the cache memory. Similarly for block 7, line 3. Now see some program segment, and we will see. Let's say 3 instructions in the program are there. So one by one, every instruction will be executed. So I1, let's say first one, CPU generate the memory request. Which memory reference? The address is this one. Address is this one, right? And which technique we are using? Direct cache mapping technique we are using, right? And you know the format. You know the format: tag, line offset, and word offset, which is a predefined. Now in the starting, we know our cache memory size and main memory size. We know main memory size is a 16-byte, and cache memory size is a 8-byte, right? And if you divide into number of blocks, cache memory has 4 blocks and main memory has 8 blocks. Up to 7. Here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks in the cache memory. So in that format, in the word offset, we need only 1 bit, right? 8-byte is memory is there in the cache, right? And for line offset, 2 bit is required. The remaining will be tag, right? So we divide it into bits. So for word offset, only 1 bit. For line offset, 2 bits, and for tag bit, only 1 bit. So this line offset will enable the line data block. This line offset will enable the address of that particular line. So if 00, so that block we enable, right? And this 0 is to find out the byte inside the block. Fine. This tag bit we compare with the tag bit of the cache memory, right? So this tag bit we compare with the tag bit of the cache memory. So if the tag bit of this CPU generated request and whatever the tag bit exists in the cache memory is same, then we can say hit. Yeah, whatever the request I am asking already exists in cache memory. No need to go further, right? If this tag bit, if this is equal, then we can say hit, right? If this is not equal, let's say 1 is there, then we can say miss. Let's say nothing is there. We don't know, don't care. We don't know what information. It means the cache memory, that line is empty. Also, this one is a miss. If cache is empty, then also is a miss because no block is there. So we need to fetch from the main memory to cache memory like this, right? Now, first instruction is done. Already data is there. We are able to fetch from the cache memory. Then ID instruction, CPU generated memory request. The address is this one, right? So again, you break down into the non-format. So this bit as a tag, this 2 bit as a line offset, and this one is a word offset, right? So from this 2 bit, we enable the line. So this is a block 0 or line 0. We enable the line 0 of the cache memory, right? And the tag bit, this tag bit, we compare with that. In the tag 0 is there, right? But in the CPU generated request, one is there. So this is miss. So we have to go forward to main memory to fetch actual data, which is a block 4, right? Let's see. So now forward to main memory. Now same CPU request we send to the main memory, right? Now main memory controller will interpret this request, and the format of the main memory is this one. So you know this 16 byte memory we are using, right? So in the main memory, 8 blocks are there. So 8 blocks are there. How many bits are required? 3 bits are required to enable the block. So this 3 bits to enable the block, and 0 is the inside the block to enable the to fetch the byte. So now these 3 bits are there, right? If 3 bits are there, now see these things. So 1 So now this will be enabled. Now whatever the information we move into the cache memory with the help of this function, because the direct cache mapping technique we are using, right? So with this help of this function, we are able to move. So let's see, 100 is there, means block 4, mod 4, because 4 block in the cache memory. Which line will come? Line 0. Now now whatever the data is there, we just replace with block 4 and updated the tag value. Tag value is 1, you know, tag value is 1. We updated the tag value in the cache memory, right? Now see, two things. If the block number is given in the decimal, so this way you can find out the line number. See, 1 2 3 and more 10 is there, so only last digit will be required. Similarly, 100 is there, then 2 will be. You know this part. If the block number is given in the base 2, then what you have to see? Then this way, if this is 4, it means 2 raised to r 2. So 2 bit you have to use as a line number, right? Similarly, 100 is there. So if this is like 1000 is there, so only 2 bit 00, it means line 0. Similarly, 2 bit also there, it means line 1, like this, right? This depend upon what block, how many blocks are in the cache memory. Let's say in the cache memory blocks are 8. So 2 raised to 3 means 3 bit from the block number from the LSB 3 bit you have to fetch, which is a line number of the cache memory. Similarly, let's say if 16 is there or this one is there, right? Then it will be 2 raised to 4. So 4 bit you need to use as a line number. This is the way to calculate. Now, in addition to the tag field, every block in every line or every block in the cache is provided with valid bit, right? You know that part. So this one is a valid bit, tag bit, and data, right? So every block there is a valid bit. If there is a valid entry, then we know one means a CPU referred this block, right? And if 0, then CPU is not referred this block, means this is empty. If this is a valid entry, CPU referred this block. Now again CPU request came, and valid entry is 1. Okay, CPU referred this block, but right now we don't know actual block exists in that or no. Now we have to see the tag bit. Now if we compare the tag bit, if tag bit is matched with the CPU request, then we can say yes, this is hit. If tag bit is not matched, then we say this is miss. Similarly, if invalid entry is there, it means we don't know. It's a don't care, like an empty situation in the cache memory. So it is always miss, like this, right? Now take some simple example. Take You know 32-bit byte addressing I'm using. 32-bit byte addressing I'm using, and a cache 64 kilobyte of data. Cache 64 kilobyte of data, which is 2 raised to power 16 byte, right? Kilobyte. So see, this 64 means 6, kilobyte means 10, so 2 raised to 16 byte I'm using. And your one word is a 4 byte is given. One word is a 4 byte is given. So and one block is one word is there. One block is one word, right? One block is one word is there. So how many lines in the cache means your memory, your cache memory, which is 2 raised to power 16 bytes, you need to divide into equal parts of blocks. So block size is a 4 byte. If block size is a 4 byte, so you can calculate 2 raised to power 16 divided by 2 raised to power 2, because it's a 4 byte, right? So 2 raised to power 14. So 2 raised to power 14 lines in the cache. 2 raised to power 14 lines in the cache. So 32-bit addressing the CPU generating the request, right? So to enable the line, to enable the block in the cache memory, how many bits are required? 14 bits. So this part is a 14 bit. This is a line offset. This is a line offset, 14 bits, right? And 4 byte exists in the block. 4 byte exists in the block. So how many bits are required to enable the byte? 2 bit. 2 bit is required, because 4 byte means 2 raised to power 2. So 2 bit is required to enable the byte inside the block, right? So 14 plus 2, 16 is done. 32-bit addressing the CPU is generating. So how many bits left for the tag? 32 minus 14 minus 2 will be 16. So this 16 will be used as a tag bits. So this way you can calculate how many tag bits, 16 bits are tag bits are there. And okay, that part is done. Now calculate the total size of cache. Total size of cache what? Data size you know. Now you have to calculate the tag memory size and valid bit size. See, one bit for the valid bit, right? 1 bit for the valid and 16 bits for the tag. We know, we already calculate 16 bit for the tag plus, and the your block size, right? And how many block size is a 4 byte. Block size is a 4 byte. If block size is a 4 byte, it means how many bits? 32 bits. That's why 32 bits. Multiply with how many number of lines. Number of lines will be in the cache 2 raised to 14. Okay, right? If you do this calculation, so 784 kilobits will be there. 784 kilobits will be there. So for building a cache to contain 64 kilobyte data, actually we need for 64 we need 784 kilobits. 64 kilobyte data, if you convert into bits, it will be 512 kilobits. So to store 512 kilobits of data requires 784 kilobits in the cache memory. That's the meaning, right? See this tag diagram. This is CPU generated the 32-bit address, and this 2-bit for the block offset, or you can say word offset, and this 14-bit as a line offset, and this remaining will be tag, right? Right? Now this is our cache memory. This is our cache memory, and this data is a 32-bit, right? And tag is a 16-bit, and valid bit is a 1-bit. You know that. So this line offset will enable the block or line in the cache memory. So this from whatever the value of this 14-bit corresponding to that cache block will be enabled. Let's say this will be enabled, right? This will be enabled. Now I will compare the valid bit and check valid bit 1 or not. If this is 1, let's say valid bit is 1. Now I'm comparing my tag bit with the tag bit of the CPU generated request. If this is equal, then 1 will come. Now there is an AND condition on this one, then it is 1. So we can say hit. Let's say this is valid bit is 0. Valid bit is 0 means CPU is not referred. If valid bit is 0, no need to compare this tag bit, right? If this is 0, it means 0 will come. It's always miss. So valid bit is 0 means cache is empty, corresponding to that block. Understood? This is the visualization of previous question. So in the direct cache organization, explicit replacement algorithm are not required, right? Because we are using our same mod function to replace the block into the cache memory. So there is no need to explicit replacement algorithm. Replacement algorithm means, you know, like FIFO, first in first out, or LRU techniques. So there is no need to apply these technique to replace the algorithm when cache is full. In other technique, actually we use for like in associate mapping and set associate mapping, we take help of the explicit replacement algorithm because there was no function to replace the memory block, right? And the limitation of direct cache mapping technique is each line is able to hold only one block at a time, right? Only one block at a time. So number of conflict miss is increased. So for multiple block of the main memory, there is a fixed location. So chances are very high of conflict miss. And the second thing is when CPU refer multiple block which are mapped into the same line, multiple block which are mapped into the same line, then cache memory block are frequently swapping, right? Due to this hit ratio will be falling down, the phenomena is stretching. What I'm saying, in the starting B4 is there, then you replace B4, B0 is there, then you replace with B4, then B4 to B0 again, then again B4. Like this swapping is going on corresponding to one line. This phenomena is called flashing. Let's see example. This is your program segment. 4 instructions are there. First one is a block 0. This one is a block 4. This is a block 0. This is a block 4. Right? See, from this you can say block 0. From this block 4. This block 0. This one block 4. And this represents a 0 byte in block 0, 0th byte in block 4, first byte in 0 block, and first byte in block 4. Similarly, when let's say in the cache already block 0 is there. first instruction, block 0 I need. Oh, that is hit is there. Now block 4 came, right? Block 4 came is not there. That's because the location is fixed for block 4, which is a line 0. So miss happened. So we replace this one. Again block 0 came. Again block 4 already existed. Then we need to replace this one. Again on I4 instruction, block 4 came, but already block 0 is there. So again this is missed. We have to replace. This phenomena we call flashing, right? Thank you. That's it. So you can solve every question of direct cache mapping technique from this concept. Thank you.